Hey guys, tonight we're diving deep, not into your pillow, but into the chilling, murky embrace of the Atlantic. Imagine, for a moment, you're not in your cozy bed, but encased in a thick, clunky diving suit, the kind that makes you feel like an astronaut on an alien planet. Only this planet is made of crushing pressure and eternal twilight. The cold seeps into your bones, even through layers of insulation, and the only sound is your own ragged breathing, a rhythmic whisper in the vast, silent abyss. You're descending, slowly, relentlessly, into a darkness so profound it swallows the very concept of light. Your powerful lamps carving out a narrow, fleeting circle in the inky blackness. This isn't just a bedtime story. This is a journey to a place few have ever seen. A place where history lies frozen, waiting. You're dropping, hour by hour, deeper than most submarines ever dare to venture, into waters so cold that a quick dip would turn you into a human ice lolly. You probably won't survive this without some serious training and a submarine the size of a small apartment building. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're listening from tonight, and what time it is for you right now in the comments below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You feel the slight shift in the water's current, a subtle eddy that whispers of something massive, something unnatural, lying ahead. Your sonar technician, back on the surface vessel, has been humming with excitement for days, ever since the initial scans bounced back those unmistakable, haunting shapes. The readings were clear, a colossal structure, metallic and unnaturally angular, resting perfectly upright on the seabed, as if gently placed there by some colossal, unseen hand. It's not just a pile of twisted metal, it's a ship. And not just any ship. The dimensions, the distinctive profile, even the faint signatures of its armaments, all point to one thing: a Nazi warship, lost to the waves during World War II. Think about that for a second. While you're snuggled up with your favorite blanket, this ghost of a bygone era, a relic of one of humanity's darkest chapters, has been sitting down there, undisturbed, for over 8 decades. It's a time capsule, a silent museum of a conflict that reshaped the world. Historians still argue whether the technology of these massive vessels truly outpaced their strategic deployment. But one thing is certain: they were engineering marvels of their time. Built for power and intimidation. It's a mainstream historical fact that the naval arms race of the pre-World War II era pushed ship design to unprecedented scales, producing behemoths like this one. What's quirky, though, is how often these mighty ships met their end not in glorious battle, but through the mundane realities of the sea: a sudden squall, a navigational error, or perhaps just plain bad luck. You can almost hear the ghostly whispers of the crew, still clinging to their posts in the frigid depths, their last orders echoing in the silence. The anticipation is a palpable thing, a thrumming vibration in your chest that has nothing to do with the dive suit's life support. Every inch deeper you go, the pressure outside intensifies, trying to squeeze the very air from your lungs, trying to crush your submersible like an empty soda can. It's a harsh reminder of the unforgiving environment you're venturing into, a place where mistakes are measured in milliseconds and the cost is absolute. But the allure, the undeniable pull of discovery, is far stronger than any fear. You are about to become one of the very few to lay eyes on this particular piece of history. To witness a moment frozen in time. The ship, whatever its name, whatever its story, is waiting. The sonar's high-pitched chirps have now become a steady, almost comforting hum as your submersible glides closer, closer, to the target. And then, there it is. Not a whisper, not a shadow, but a towering, undeniable presence, looming out of the gloom, perfectly upright on the seafloor as if it had simply decided to park itself for eternity. Is the unmistakable silhouette of a German Bismarck-class battleship. Goosebumps, you realize, aren't just for cold mornings. This isn't just a warship. This is one of the Titans. A symbol of Nazi Germany's naval might. a vessel designed to strike fear into the hearts of any who dared to challenge its dominance. You might recall from history class how Germany was trying to rebuild its navy after World War I restrictions. These ships were their answer. Massive and heavily armed. You circle it slowly, your powerful light sweeping across its vast, barnacle-encrusted hull, revealing the scars of time, but also the sheer, audacious scale of its construction. Imagine, for a moment, the sheer audacity of building something this immense, this complex, purely for the purpose of destruction. It's a testament to human ingenuity, twisted by human ambition. Your mind races, trying to piece together its story. Was this the Bismarck itself, famously hunted down and sunk in a dramatic chase? Or perhaps its sister ship, the Tirpitz, often called the Lonely Queen of the North, for its solitary existence in Norwegian fjords? Historians still argue whether the resources poured into these giant battleships were truly worth their strategic impact. Considering how few truly decisive naval engagements they participated in, it's a quirky tidbit that for all their power, many of these behemoths spent more time avoiding battle than engaging in it. As you orbit, the name Scharnhorst comes to mind. Or perhaps Gneisenau, famous for their daring dashes through the English Channel. Each of these ships had a unique and often tragic narrative. And to find one so remarkably preserved, standing sentinel in the deep, feels like stumbling upon a lost chapter of history. You can almost hear the ghostly clanking of anchors, the distant shouts of orders, the rush of waves against the bow as she once plowed through the surface. A fearsome predator. Now, she's a silent monument, her guns no longer spitting fire, her decks no longer teeming with men. The external damage, or rather, the surprising lack of it, is the first thing that truly strikes you. There are no signs of catastrophic explosions, no massive gashes from torpedoes, no evidence of a dramatic capsizing. It's as if she simply settled, gracefully, to the bottom. This observation immediately deepens the mystery. How did a vessel of this magnitude, designed to withstand the most brutal naval warfare, end up here, seemingly intact? Was it scuttled by its own crew to prevent capture? Did it succumb to a hidden mine? Or perhaps a structural failure that wasn't immediately obvious on the surface? The ocean, you realize, is the ultimate secret keeper, and she guards her truths jealously. You guide your sub closer, running your external cameras along the immense hull, past the giant propellers, still perfectly aligned on their shafts, and towards the stern. The ship's nameplate, if it exists, would be heavily encrusted, but the sheer scale of the ship allows for identifying features to still stand out. You notice the unmistakable shape of the massive turret barbettes, the armored foundations for the huge main guns. These were designed to withstand direct hits from enemy shells. And even now, they project an aura of impenetrable strength. You imagine the countless hours of human labor, the tons of steel, the scientific precision that went into constructing something so formidable. It's a mind-boggling feat of engineering, especially for a time before advanced computer modeling and automated manufacturing. This isn't just metal. It's the embodiment of an era's industrial might and strategic ambition. With the ship's identity now largely confirmed as a Bismarck class, or at least a very close cousin, the real work begins. You're not just here for a casual swim, are you? No, this is about meticulous preparation. A dance with danger that makes your morning coffee routine look like extreme sports. Back on the surface, the lead archaeologist, a woman with eyes that sparkle with a mixture of academic rigor and genuine awe, pores over schematics, old naval logs, and grainy wartime photographs. Her team meticulously plots the next phase, a series of increasingly daring dives, each designed to map and, eventually, penetrate the wreck. It's a mainstream historical fact that before any significant underwater exploration or salvage operation, extensive research and planning are absolutely crucial. Think about it. You can't just waltz into an 80-year-old steel box at the bottom of the ocean without a serious game plan. That would be less Indiana Jones and more Darwin Award nominee. The equipment alone is a marvel. Forget your snorkel and flippers. We're talking about remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, bristling with high-definition cameras, powerful lights, and manipulator arms capable of delicate work or brute force. These aren't just glorified toys, they're the eyes and hands that will touch this history first, before any human dares to follow. Then there are the submersibles, like the one you're hypothetically in, capable of withstanding pressures that would turn a regular human into a pancake. Or, more accurately, a fine mist. Each dive plan is a meticulously choreographed ballet of technology and human expertise. Every contingency is considered, every potential failure point analyzed. What if a power cable snags? What if a manipulator arm jams? What if, heaven forbid, the pressure hull integrity is compromised? You quickly realize that in this line of work, optimism is a luxury, and paranoia is a professional virtue. The first human entry into the wreck itself is not just a dive, it's an expedition. You're talking about weeks, possibly months, of work just to ensure the structure is stable enough for a human to enter. Remember that quirky tidbit about ancient Roman divers holding their breath for impossible lengths of time? Well, modern diving is less about lung capacity and more about the dizzying array of life support systems, gas mixtures, and decompression protocols needed to keep you alive and unsquished. You'll be wearing a closed-circuit rebreather, recycling your exhaled breath, silently efficient, allowing for longer bottom times. Your suit isn't just fabric, it's a multi-layered fortress designed to keep your body at a comfortable temperature even as the surrounding water hovers just above freezing. You're basically a walking, talking, very expensive thermos. The sheer logistical challenge of getting all this gear, all these specialists, and all this scientific brainpower to a remote spot in the middle of a vast ocean is staggering. You have to consider the weather, the currents, the depth, and the very real possibility that the wreck itself might shift or collapse. Historians still argue whether the initial recovery efforts of similar wrecks prioritized scientific study enough over the immediate desire for artifacts, highlighting the delicate balance between discovery and preservation. Every piece of equipment is triple-checked, every connection torqued to perfection. It's a slow, painstaking process, where patience is a virtue and rushing is a fatal flaw. You can feel the tension building, a quiet hum amongst the crew, a shared understanding of the monumental task ahead. They know the risks, but they also know the immense historical treasure that lies beneath them. The moment has arrived. You're nestled deep within the submersible. The only sound the gentle hum of the life support and the occasional soft creak of the hull settling under unimaginable pressure. Outside, the powerful lights cut through the perpetual twilight, revealing the last few meters of descent. You feel a subtle shift, a momentary lurch, and then the gentle thud that signifies contact. You've landed, softly, carefully. You're now resting on the seabed, just a stone's throw from the colossal wreck. The feeling is surreal, like being a fly on the wall of history, except the wall is a massive steel battleship and the fly is you. Encased in several inches of high-tech alloys, you pilot the submersible forward, inch by agonizing inch, towards the immense, dark form. The external cameras relay a live feed to your monitors inside, and you find yourself holding your breath, even though your suit is doing all the work for you. First, the colossal stern comes into view, its massive rudder a silent, still sentinel. Then, the immense propellers, each blade larger than a person, perfectly preserved in the frigid, oxygen-poor depths. It's a mainstream historical fact that deep-sea environments, with their low oxygen and cold temperatures, are incredible preservers of organic and metallic materials. Hence the remarkable state of this wreck. You can almost feel the power they once commanded, churning through the waves, propelling this steel leviathan across the unforgiving ocean. As you glide along the starboard side, the ship slowly reveals its full, awe-inspiring scale. The sheer height of the hull, rising from the seafloor like a submerged mountain, is overwhelming. You crane your neck, or rather, your camera pivots upwards, tracing the lines of the armored belt, designed to deflect the most powerful shells of its day. You notice the scuppers, the small drain holes, still perfectly visible, as if the crew had just finished washing down the decks a moment ago. It's a quirky tidbit, but the level of detail preserved on some deep-sea wrecks is so precise you can often read manufacturing stamps on components or even see the paint schemes from the time of sinking. It makes you wonder about the last person to stand by that very scupper. Perhaps looking out at a storm-tossed sea. The external lighting array of your submersible paints the wreck in stark, dramatic contrasts. Shadows dance and stretch, giving the massive ship an almost living quality. A slumbering giant waiting to awaken. You catch glimpses of anti-aircraft gun emplacements, their barrels still pointing skyward, forever aiming at phantom threats. The rangefinders, once precise instruments of destruction, now sit silently atop the superstructure, their lenses clouded by decades of submersion. It's a somber sight, a testament to a conflict that consumed millions of lives and reshaped the world. Historians still argue whether the psychological impact of these gargantuan warships on enemy morale was as significant as their actual combat effectiveness. But their presence certainly cast a long shadow. You take your time, letting the enormity of the discovery sink in. This isn't just a piece of metal. It's a silent witness to history. A tomb for hundreds, perhaps thousands, of souls. The silence is profound, broken only by the rhythmic hum of your submersible and the occasional faint click of your cameras. It feels almost sacrilegious to disturb this peace, this long slumber, but the call of knowledge, the desire to understand, to piece together the final moments of this ship and its crew, is too strong to ignore. You're not just exploring a wreck, you're communing with the past. Standing on the precipice of forgotten stories, ready to shine a light on what lies within. Now, the true exploration begins. You guide your submersible with practiced ease, bringing it painstakingly close to the immense hull, searching for a point of entry. The external cameras are your eyes, sweeping across the metal skin, looking for any opening, any hint of access that might allow you to peer inside. It's like being a burglar, but for history, and your loot is knowledge. You spot what appears to be a torpedo or shell impact, not enough to tear the ship apart, but enough to create a jagged, inviting more in the armored side. With a delicate touch, you maneuver your ROV, the smaller, more agile robotic arm extending, its cameras providing a closer view. It's a tight squeeze, a literal needle in a haystack, but the promise of what lies beyond is too great to ignore. As the ROV slips through the opening, the world changes. The exterior of the ship, for all its grandiosity, was just the cover of the book. Now, you're inside, turning the pages. The first space you enter is a crew compartment, eerily preserved. Your powerful lights cut through the sediment and the perpetual gloom, illuminating details that send a shiver down your spine. Bunks, still neatly made in some places, are bolted to the bulkheads. Lockers, some ajar, others tightly sealed by the pressure of the deep, line the narrow passageways. It's a mainstream historical fact that the living conditions on these massive warships, especially for the lower ranks, were incredibly cramped and Spartan. You can almost feel the close quarters, smell the stale air, hear the murmur of voices that once filled these spaces. You glide through corridor after corridor, each one a testament to the suddenness of the ship's demise. There are no signs of a panicked evacuation, no desperate scramble for lifeboats. It seems the end came swiftly, perhaps without warning. A table in a mess hall still has overturned chairs, as if the crew had just left for a moment, summoned by an urgent call to action that never allowed him to return. A forgotten chess set, pieces scattered, lies on another table, a game left eternally unfinished. This quirky tidbit of finding personal items frozen in time is surprisingly common in well-preserved wrecks. It offers a poignant, human glimpse into the lives of those who perished. It's like stepping into a photograph, except the photograph is three-dimensional and profoundly silent. The deeper you go, the more intact the ship seems. The pressure has acted as a preservative, sealing off compartments, preventing further decay. You find the radio room, its dials and gauges still in place. The massive transmitting equipment sitting silently. You wonder what the last message sent from this ship might have been. Was it a distress call? A final report? Or was it simply radio silence? The communication cut off abruptly as the ship began its final descent. Historians still argue whether the effectiveness of wartime communications was truly understood in the early days of the conflict, or if many vital messages were lost or misinterpreted. You can almost hear the crackle of static, the frantic tapping of Morse code, echoing in the cold, dark silence. The atmosphere shifts as you move into the command sections. Here, the spaces are larger, more formal. Navigation charts, weighted down against a phantom sea, are still spread across a plotting table. Their lines and symbols a ghostly map of a journey that ended abruptly. The bridge, with its panoramic views now obscured by the crushing weight of the ocean, feels like a sacred space. The ship's wheel, a mighty instrument of control, stands idle, its spokes still and silent. You can almost see the captain, his hand on the wheel, his eyes scanning the horizon, making decisions that held the lives of thousands in the balance. It's a humbling experience, a profound connection to a moment in history that forever altered the world. As you navigate deeper into the silent corridors of the sunken battleship, the sheer intimacy of the discoveries becomes almost overwhelming. It's no longer just a ship, it's a silent city of ghosts. And you're walking through their abandoned homes. You glide into a small cabin, clearly an officer's quarters given its slightly larger size and the remnants of a more personalized touch. On a small, bolted-down desk, amidst a thin layer of fine sediment, lies a leather-bound diary, its pages swollen but miraculously intact. Next to it, a tarnished silver locket, its chain broken, waits patiently for hands that will never return. These aren't just artifacts, they're direct links to human lives, to the men who once breathed and slept and worried within these very walls. You can almost feel their presence, their anxieties, their hopes, the idea that these personal effects have lain undisturbed for decades, holding their secrets in the cold, dark embrace of the ocean, is profoundly moving. It's a mainstream historical fact that personal effects are often among the most poignant finds in shipwrecks, offering a direct human connection to the past. You imagine the young officer, perhaps writing a letter home, or scribbling thoughts about the war, or even just jotting down mundane observations about the endless gray sea. What were his dreams? Did he have a family waiting for him? In another compartment, you discover a stack of neatly folded uniforms, surprisingly well preserved due to the lack of oxygen and light. One of them, perhaps a ratings work jacket, even has a small, faded patch sewn onto the sleeve, a quirky, unofficial emblem that might have signified a particular unit or even just an inside joke among the crew. It's these tiny, unique details that truly bring the history to life, far more than any grand historical narrative can. You wonder about the conversations that must have happened in this very space. The camaraderie, the whispered complaints, the shared laughter. Further in, you encounter a mess hall, larger than the individual cabins, where plates and cutlery are still scattered across tables. One table holds what appears to be a partially consumed meal, now just a shadowy outline on a plate, as if the alarm had sounded mid-dinner. A faint, almost imperceptible outline on one bulkhead suggests where a pin-up calendar or a family photograph might have once hung. A fleeting reminder of the world above the waves. Historians still argue whether the psychological toll of prolonged periods at sea in wartime conditions, especially on such a confined vessel, significantly impacted crew morale and decision-making. You can almost hear the clatter of dishes, the boisterous chatter, the strains of a distant accordion. These aren't just objects, they're echoes. Each item, whether a worn boot or a half-finished game of cards, tells a story without uttering a single word. It's a powerful, almost spiritual experience to be the first human eyes to gaze upon these remnants of lost lives after so many decades. You feel a profound sense of responsibility, not just to document these findings, but to honor the memory of those who perished here. The very act of observing them feels like a quiet conversation across time. A recognition of their existence, their sacrifices, and their sudden, tragic end. The silence of the wreck, broken only by the whir of your ROV, amplifies the weight of these discoveries, turning each find into a silent scream from the past. Moving deeper into the vast, silent hulk, you begin to encounter the true sinews of this warship, its armaments and the sophisticated, for its time, technology that powered them. This isn't just a transport vessel, it's a floating fortress, a testament to the era's relentless pursuit of destructive power. Your lights illuminate the massive gun turrets, each one a multi-story armored beast designed to house colossal naval guns. You navigate your ROV into one of the main battery turrets, a cavernous space where crew members once loaded shells weighing more than a small car. The intricate mechanisms of the breach are still visible, the enormous loading trays, the hoists for the shells, all frozen in time. It's a mainstream historical fact that the naval guns of these battleships were among the largest and most complex pieces of machinery ever built, capable of firing projectiles dozens of miles. Imagine the deafening roar when these guns fired, the immense recoil that shook the entire ship, the concussive blast that could throw a man off his feet. Now, there is only the profound silence of the deep. You can almost see the gun crews, stripped to the waist, grunting with effort, their faces smudged with cordite, working in unison like a well-oiled machine. It's a sobering thought, seeing the tools of such immense destruction lying inert, their power dissipated into the cold, dark water. Beyond the main guns, you explore the secondary armaments, anti-aircraft guns, still pointing skyward, seemingly waiting for an aerial assault that will never come. Torpedo tubes, their massive, cylindrical maws facing outwards, ready to launch their deadly payload. These were not merely weapons, they were complex systems, requiring hundreds of trained personnel to operate and maintain. The sheer scale of the logistical support needed for these ships, from ammunition to spare parts, was mind-boggling. It's a quirky tidbit that sometimes, during deep dives on similar wrecks, divers have found unexploded ordnance still perfectly loaded in gun breeches or torpedo tubes. A chilling reminder of the raw, undischarged power these ships carried. You definitely want to keep your distance from those. You also observe the early forms of radar and fire control systems. These were the eyes and brains of the ship, allowing it to detect enemies far beyond the horizon and aim its guns with deadly accuracy. Even in rough seas or at night, the analog computers, a maze of gears, cams, and levers, are a fascinating glimpse into a pre-digital era where mechanical ingenuity solved complex ballistic problems. Historians still argue whether the Allied intelligence on the capabilities of these German systems was always accurate, often leading to underestimations or overestimations of the true threat. These mechanical wonders were the peak of naval technology at the time, giving their operators a significant, though often fleeting, advantage, the feeling of being surrounded by such formidable, yet now silent, instruments of war is a strange mix of awe and melancholy. You touch nothing, of course, content to let your ROV's cameras record every detail. Every dial, every lever, every massive piece of steel tells a story of human ambition, technological prowess, and the terrible cost of conflict. This ship, in its watery grave, is a museum dedicated not just to its own fate, but to the entire destructive machinery of a global war. It stands as a stark reminder of the power humanity can wield, both for creation and for annihilation. You guide your ROV through a surprisingly intact series of passageways, deeper into the ship's communication and operations core. The air in the submersible, recycled and filtered, feels heavy with anticipation. You've seen the weapons, the living quarters, the stark realities of life aboard a warship. But now, you're looking for something that could truly unlock the ship's final secrets. A piece of technology that was, at the time, arguably more valuable than any of its guns, an Enigma machine. The Enigma, as you probably know, was Germany's highly sophisticated electromechanical rotor cipher machine used to encrypt secret communications during World War II. Its discovery, if it were truly here, would be monumental. It's a mainstream historical fact that the breaking of the Enigma code by Allied cryptanalysts, notably at Bletchley Park, was a pivotal factor in the Allied victory. You sweep your lights across desks, shelves, and the remaining equipment in what appears to be a smaller, secure radio room, separate from the main communications hub. This space, designed for sensitive operations, feels different, more austere, more focused, and then, there it is, tucked away on a small, partially obscured shelf. Just beneath a shattered porthole, lies a rectangular box. It's encrusted with marine growth, certainly, but its distinctive shape, the series of keys, the lamp panel, are unmistakable. It's an Enigma machine. Your breath hitches, even through the regulator. This isn't just a piece of history. It's a direct link to the clandestine war of wits that played out in the shadows. A silent testament to the struggle for intelligence dominance. You bring the ROV closer, the manipulator arm extending with agonizing slowness. Every move is precise, deliberate. The machine is surprisingly small, compact, designed to be portable even on a massive warship. You can make out the 3, sometimes 4, rotors, the heart of its cryptographic power. It's a quirky tidbit that despite their complexity, Enigma machines were relatively common on German warships, with multiple machines often carried for different communication networks. Finding one still on a sunken vessel is a rare and thrilling event, as most were either destroyed by their crews to prevent capture or salvaged by the Allies. The discovery immediately raises a cascade of questions. What messages were encrypted on this specific machine? What orders did it transmit? What intelligence did it receive? Could it still contain any secrets? Any hidden rotor settings? Any clues about the ship's final moments or its missions? Historians still argue whether the Allies fully grasped the sheer scale of the German Enigma network early in the war, or if their understanding evolved gradually with each captured machine and codebook. This particular Enigma could fill in missing pieces of the puzzle, providing new insights into naval operations, troop movements, or even high-level strategic decisions from the German side. The machine itself, in its current state, is obviously inoperable. It's been submerged for decades, subjected to immense pressure and corrosive saltwater, but its value isn't in its function anymore. It's in its existence. Its context. It's a tangible artifact from a conflict that shaped the modern world. A silent witness to a time when information, and the ability to protect or exploit it, could decide the fate of nations. You spend a long moment just observing it. The silent, inert keys seemingly waiting for fingers that will never again dance across them. For codes that will never again be tapped out. It's a truly profound find. One that transforms this shipwreck from merely an archaeological site into a priceless historical archive. The discovery of the Enigma machine transforms the dive from an archaeological exploration into a full-blown historical investigation. This isn't just about recovering an object. It's about unlocking a piece of the past. Understanding the flow of information that shaped the war. You're now gazing upon a direct link to the highest echelons of Nazi military communication. A machine that, if its codes had remained unbroken, could have drastically altered the course of history. It's a mainstream historical fact that the ability to read Enigma messages, known as ultra-intelligence, provided the Allies with invaluable insights into German strategy and movements, significantly shortening the war and saving countless lives. Imagine the cryptanalysts at Bletchley Park, hunched over their own Enigma replicas, meticulously working through permutations, driven by the urgency of war. This machine on the seabed is a tangible representation of the challenge they faced. A silent antagonist in a global intellectual duel. You ponder its last operational use. Was it furiously tapping out orders for a desperate last stand? Or was it transmitting mundane logistical reports, oblivious to the ship's impending doom? Historians still argue whether the Germans ever truly suspected their Enigma codes had been compromised, or if they remained confident in its unbreakable security right up until the end of the war. The sheer ingenuity behind the Enigma is astounding. Even today, it wasn't just a simple substitution cipher, its multiple rotors, reflecting mechanism, and plugboard created an astronomical number of possible settings, making manual decryption virtually impossible. It's a quirky tidbit that early attempts by Allied intelligence to break the Enigma often involved constructing rudimentary, room-sized machines long before the more sophisticated bombs were developed, showing the sheer desperation and intellectual firepower committed to cracking the code. This particular machine, now silent and inert, once hummed with the electric current of espionage and strategic planning. The Enigma machine's presence here also speaks volumes about the ship's mission. Was it carrying out a top-secret assignment? Was it part of a U-boat Wolfpack support group? Or perhaps involved in surface raiding operations? Its position within the wreckage, likely in a secure communications room, indicates its importance to the ship's operational capabilities. Every surviving piece of equipment, every dial and wire, could potentially offer a small clue to its final moments. While the machine itself won't talk, the context of its discovery, combined with other salvaged documents or logs, could paint a much clearer picture of the ship's final voyage. The task now becomes one of careful recovery and preservation. Lifting such a delicate and historically significant artifact from the deep requires immense skill and specialized equipment. The goal isn't just to retrieve it, it's to preserve it in a way that allows future generations to study its secrets and marvel at its place in history. The cold, dark water has been its unlikely protector for decades. But once exposed to air and light, rapid deterioration could occur. This is where the meticulous planning and the expertise of conservationists come into play, ensuring that this silent sentinel of the past can continue to tell its story for years to come. The Enigma, lying there on the seabed, is more than just a piece of metal. It's a monument to the unseen battles, the intellectual warfare that ran parallel to the overt conflict of World War II, with the Enigma machine documented and the plan for its eventual recovery meticulously laid out. Your attention, or rather your ROV's agile manipulators, turns to the vast, shadowy expanse of the cargo holds. These aren't just empty spaces, they were the logistical heart of the ship, designed to carry everything from ammunition and spare parts to provisions and, sometimes, more clandestine payloads. Prying open these massive, hydraulically sealed doors after 80 years of submersion is no small feat. It requires immense power and delicate precision, like trying to open a rusty sardine can the size of a city bus. All while working in crushing darkness. As the first cargo hatch slowly, grudgingly, swings open, a cloud of fine sediment billows out, briefly obscuring your view. When it clears, your lights reveal a dimly lit, cavernous space, stacked with crates and containers, some still surprisingly intact. This is where the ship's true purpose beyond direct combat might be revealed. Was it carrying supplies for a distant U-boat fleet, transporting vital raw materials, or something far more intriguing? It's a mainstream historical fact that cargo ships and even warships often carried valuable or strategic goods during wartime, making their wrecks potential treasure troves of historical insight. You navigate the ROV into the hold, its powerful lights sweeping across the stacked crates. Many are wooden, some have disintegrated over time, spilling their contents across the floor. Others, made of metal, have resisted the corrosive embrace of the ocean. You identify rows of torpedoes, their sleek, deadly shapes nestled in racks, silent and menacing. Stacks of artillery shells, their brass casings dulled by decades of submersion, hint at the firepower this ship once carried. It's a stark reminder that war is not just about the fighting, but about the colossal logistical effort required to sustain it. But then, something catches your eye. Tucked away in a more secure, reinforced section of the hold, are several large, heavy-duty crates unlike the others. These are metallic, hermetically sealed, and bear no discernible markings. They exude an aura of importance, of something deliberately concealed. You bring the ROV closer, your senses performing a quick scan. The density readings are unusual, suggesting something dense and possibly non-ferrous inside. It's a quirky tidbit that during World War II, both Allied and Axis powers often transported highly sensitive or valuable materials, including rare minerals or even cultural artifacts, in specially designed, unmarked containers to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. Could this be one of those? The silence in the hold is thick, broken only by the whirring of your ROV's thrusters. You direct the manipulator arm to attempt to open one of these mysterious crates. The latches are stubborn, rusted solid, but with persistent, gentle pressure, one finally gives way. As the heavy lid begins to slowly swing open, your heart pounds. What lies within? Will it be more mundane supplies, or something truly extraordinary? Historians still argue whether some of the more outlandish wartime conspiracy theories about hidden gold or advanced technology caches on sunken vessels hold any grain of truth. But moments like these certainly fuel the speculation. The anticipation is almost unbearable. You lean forward in your submersible, your eyes glued to the monitor, ready for the secrets of the cargo hold to finally be revealed. The heavy lid of the mysterious cargo crate creaks open, a symphony of tortured metal echoing in the profound silence of the hold. Magnified by your submersible's sensitive hydrophones, a swirl of fine, reddish-brown sediment, disturbed by the movement, momentarily obscures the view, but as it settles, your lights pierce the gloom, revealing the contents. It's not gold bars, no, or alien technology, much to the chagrin of online conspiracy theorists. Instead, neatly packed within custom-fitted compartments, are rows upon rows of sealed cylindrical containers, each about the size of a human arm. A quick scan by your senses identifies the contents: highly specialized, high-grade optical lenses and precision navigation gyroscopes. This isn't just ordinary cargo. This is strategic material, essential components for the most advanced military optics and targeting systems of the era. These were the eyes and inner ear of the Nazi war machine. Critical for U-boat periscopes, long-range bomber sights, and the intricate fire control systems of battleships like this one. It's a mainstream historical fact that Germany was a world leader in optical technology during this period. And these components would have been invaluable for their war effort. The presence of such a shipment suggests a critical mission, perhaps resupplying another vessel, or even delivering these components to a secret research facility. You consider the men who packed these crates, carefully securing each delicate lens, each sensitive gyroscope. Did they understand the ultimate destination of these precision instruments, or the role they would play in the unfolding global conflict? You can almost hear the metallic clang of a wrench tightening a bolt, the rustle of packing straw. The silence of the deep now feels even more profound, as if the ship is holding its breath, preserving the ghost of those final moments. Suddenly, a faint, almost imperceptible detail catches your eye on the inner surface of one of the opened crates. Etched into the steel, almost hidden by a thin film of rust, is a small, hand-drawn caricature, a crude, yet clearly distinguishable, drawing of a grimacing seaman, complete with a tiny, oversized anchor tattoo. It's a quirky tidbit, these personal touches from the workers who built and supplied these mighty ships. Often overlooked but offering a rare glimpse into the human element behind the war machine. Perhaps a moment of levity during a tedious task, a silent signature left for eternity. As you explore further into the hold, your lights sweep across other items, carefully crated medical supplies, still sealed tins of emergency rations, and even a small, beautifully crafted wooden chest that, upon closer inspection, contains office's mess silver, neatly nested and polished. This mix of high-tech components and everyday supplies paints a vivid picture of life aboard, and the extensive planning required for long deployments. Historians still argue whether the meticulous logistics of the German war effort were ultimately sustainable given the scale of their ambitions. But the contents of this hold certainly speak to a high degree of organization. The more you see, the more you feel the echoes of the crew, their lives suddenly, violently, interrupted. You imagine the sudden alarm, the desperate scramble, the chilling realization that the ship, their home, their floating fortress, was doomed. Did they have time to understand what was happening? Was it a swift, crushing blow, or a prolonged, agonizing descent? The ship's upright posture suggests it didn't capsize violently, perhaps sunk by flooding, or scuttled by its own crew in a final, defiant act to prevent capture, a common tactic to deny the enemy valuable assets. Each item you observe, from a dropped wrench to a carefully packed gyroscope, is a silent witness, offering a fleeting, ghostly glimpse into those last moments on board. The time has come to transition from exploration to the painstaking, high-stakes process of recovery. You've mapped the ship, documented its contents, and identified key artifacts like the Enigma machine and those invaluable optical components. Now, you need to bring them up. This isn't just about hoisting things to the surface, it's a meticulously choreographed dance with gravity, pressure, and the relentless forces of the deep. Imagine trying to pick up a delicate porcelain vase with a bulldozer. Underwater, in the dark, that's pretty close to the challenge. It's a mainstream historical fact that deep-sea recovery operations are among the most complex and dangerous in the world, requiring specialized equipment and highly trained personnel. The first step involves deploying custom-designed recovery tools. For the Enigma machine, this means a bespoke cradle, designed to perfectly fit its dimensions and provide multi-point support, preventing any stress on its fragile components. This cradle is guided by your ROV, with its precise manipulators carefully positioning it around the artifact. Every movement is agonizingly slow, calculated to the millimeter. One wrong nudge, one sudden shift, and a priceless piece of history could be damaged irreparably, turning your historical coup into a salvage disaster. You're working against the clock. 2. As prolonged exposure to certain conditions on the seabed can degrade artifacts even further, particularly after they've been disturbed. The lift itself is conducted with an advanced, computer-controlled winch system on the surface vessel. It's not a simple reeling in. The lift rate is precisely regulated to account for changes in pressure, potential currents, and the fragile nature of the cargo. Think of it like trying to slowly pull a string of pearls up from a well, ensuring none of them break or slip off. The line goes taut, humming faintly with the strain, and you watch on your monitors as the cradle, with the Enigma machine nestled within, slowly, majestically, begins its ascent, breaking free from its 80-year slumber. It's a quirky tidbit that sometimes, after being undisturbed for so long, marine life might have made a home inside the artifacts themselves. You might find a curious deep-sea fish peeking out from the keys of the Enigma as it rises. For larger items, like some of the optical components still in their robust metallic crates, specialized nets and lifting frames are employed. These are designed to distribute the weight evenly and prevent the contents from shifting during the long, arduous journey to the surface. The entire operation is monitored by an array of sensors, tracking depth, temperature, stress on the lines, and the condition of the artifacts. Historians still argue whether early salvage techniques caused more damage than good to historical wrecks, highlighting the constant evolution of recovery methods to prioritize preservation. You're holding your breath with every foot of ascent, knowing that decades of preservation in the cold, dark deep can be undone in moments once the artifacts re-enter the warmer, oxygen-rich surface waters. As the first artifact, the Enigma machine, finally breaks the surface, there's a collective cheer on the surface vessel. It's not just a successful lift, it's a victory for history. A silent cheer for the men who once used this machine, and for the cryptanalysts who tirelessly worked to break its secrets. The machine emerges, dripping salt water, its incrustations glistening under the sunlight, a tangible link between the present and a past that refused to stay buried. You watch as it's carefully transferred to a waiting, climate-controlled container, ready for its journey to the conservation lab. The first phase of recovery is complete. But the real challenge of preserving these treasures has only just begun. Successfully raising the artifacts from the deep is only half the battle, perhaps even less than half. If we're being honest, now comes the incredibly complex and painstaking process of conservation. Imagine pulling something out of a perfectly preserved, sub-zero, oxygen-free freezer, and then suddenly exposing it to humid, warm, oxygen-rich air. That's pretty much what happens when you bring deep-sea artifacts to the surface. And without immediate, expert intervention, they can literally crumble before your eyes. It's a mainstream historical fact that iron and steel objects, in particular, suffer from chloride sickness when removed from salt water, rapidly corroding and disintegrating if not properly treated. The moment the Enigma machine, or any metallic artifact, comes out of the water, it's not greeted with fanfare and flash photography. Oh no. Instead, it's immediately bathed in a fresh water spray and carefully transferred into a specialized, temperature and humidity controlled environment. Think of it as an intensive care unit for historical objects. Every tiny barnacle, every speck of sediment, needs to be removed, but not just wiped off like dust. These marine accretions can sometimes hold clues to the wreck's environment or even protect the underlying material. Conservators, these unsung heroes of history, painstakingly work with tiny brushes, scalpels, and even dental tools, often under microscopes, for hours, days, weeks, or even months on a single artifact. For objects like the Enigma machine, which is a complex blend of metal, plastic, and rubber components, the challenge is even greater. Each material reacts differently to being submerged and then brought to the surface. The metals need electrolysis to remove corrosive salts and stabilize the material. The rubber gaskets might have turned brittle and need careful rehydration or replacement with modern, inert materials. The internal mechanisms, even if not fully functional, need to be cleaned and protected to prevent further decay. It's a quirky tidbit that sometimes conservators use bizarre, almost alchemical, techniques, like soaking wooden artifacts in a sugar solution for years to replace water in their cells and prevent shrinkage and cracking. The goal isn't necessarily to make the artifact look brand new, but to stabilize it, to halt the decay, and to preserve it in a state that allows for long-term study and display. This means documenting every stage of the process, from initial condition to the final treatment. Chemicals are carefully selected, temperatures precisely maintained, and the process can take years. Historians still argue whether the aggressive restoration techniques of the past sometimes destroyed more historical information than they preserved, leading to a much more conservative and reversible approach today. It's a delicate balance between arresting decay and respecting the artifact's journey through time. The sheer patience required for this work is staggering. You watch conservators, their faces illuminated by task lights, meticulously working on a single corroded dial from the battleship's bridge. Their movements precise, almost meditative. They are not just cleaning, they are performing a silent surgery on history, ensuring that the stories these objects hold can continue to be told. The smell of various chemical solutions hangs faintly in the air, a peculiar perfume of preservation. It's a costly and time-consuming endeavor, but absolutely essential if these treasures from the deep are to survive their perilous journey from the ocean floor to our museums. Without this crucial step, all the daring dives and meticulous recovery would be in vain, leaving us with nothing but a fleeting glimpse of what once was. After years of painstaking conservation work, the moment finally arrives. The artifacts, particularly the Enigma machine and selected items from the crew's personal effects and cargo, are ready for public display. This is where the silent, solitary work of the divers and conservators culminates in a shared experience, allowing millions to connect with this profound piece of history. Imagine stepping into a dimly lit gallery, the hum of climate control systems a subtle backdrop, and there, behind thick, museum-grade glass, sits the Enigma machine, It's no longer just a technological marvel. It's a silent storyteller. Its keys seemingly waiting to spring to life, whispering tales of wartime secrets. The exhibition is meticulously curated. Alongside the Enigma, you see the officer's diary. Its water-stained pages now carefully stabilized and digitally replicated for closer viewing. The silver locket, tarnished but now cleaned of its harshest incrustations, lies next to a photograph of what might have been its owner. Provided by archival research, these are the human touches that transform cold metal into vibrant history. It's a mainstream historical fact that museums often combine physical artifacts with multimedia displays and personal stories to create a more engaging and impactful experience for visitors. You observe visitors, their faces a mixture of awe and somber reflection, as they gaze upon the artifacts. A young child, perhaps captivated by the intricate mechanisms of the Enigma, asks their parent, "What did it do?" And the parent, in turn, explains the vital role of code breaking in the war, the desperate struggle for intelligence that ran beneath the surface of battles. A veteran, perhaps, stands silently before a uniform, a distant look in their eyes, remembering a time they barely survived. It's a powerful connection across generations, a tangible link to a conflict that, while receding into history, still shapes our present. The exhibition doesn't shy away from the ship's origins. Display panels candidly discuss its Nazi affiliation, its role in a brutal war, and the ideology it served. This isn't about glorifying the past, but about understanding it in its full, often uncomfortable, complexity. Historians still argue whether displaying artifacts from controversial regimes risks inadvertently legitimizing them. But most modern museums strive to provide critical context and ensure the narrative educates rather than glorifies. It's a delicate balance, and one that these institutions handle with immense responsibility. A quirky tidbit you might notice: a small display case featuring one of those carefully preserved optical lenses from the cargo hold. It might seem unassuming to the casual observer, but a caption explains its crucial role in naval fire control, connecting a seemingly mundane object to the ship's destructive power. It highlights how even the smallest components played a part in the grand machinery of war. You overhear a group of students discussing the ethics of recovering artifacts from what is essentially a war grave, a debate that often accompanies such discoveries. The atmosphere in the museum is one of quiet contemplation. The artifacts, once resting in the profound silence of the deep, now resonate with the hushed whispers of visitors and the quiet reverence of their presence. They are no longer just relics, they are teachers, telling a story of human ingenuity, global conflict, profound loss, and ultimately, the enduring power of history to inform our present and guide our future. It's a powerful testament to the dedication of those who ventured into the abyss to bring these stories to light, ensuring that the lessons learned from this sunken warship will not be forgotten. The exhibitions eventually close, the crowds disperse, but the legacy of the sunken Nazi warship, and the incredible finds brought up from its depths, continues to reverberate. This isn't just about a collection of old objects, it's about the enduring power of history. A profound connection to a past that still shapes our present. The ship itself, still resting on the seabed as a permanent war grave, continues its silent vigil. It remains a stark, unmoving monument to the incredible scale of human conflict and the ultimate futility of war. It's a mainstream historical fact that many shipwrecks, especially those from major conflicts, are now protected as maritime archaeological sites and war graves, ensuring they are respected and studied responsibly. The Enigma machine, perhaps the most iconic discovery, has become a symbol. It represents not only the technological prowess of one side in the conflict but also the intellectual triumph of the other. It reminds us of the relentless, often unseen, war of wits that paralleled the bombs and bullets, a battle fought with minds and machines. Its story, from its clandestine construction to its decryption at Bletchley Park and its ultimate watery repose, continues to be taught in schools and debated in academic circles. Historians still argue whether the full impact of ultra-intelligence on specific campaigns, beyond its general strategic importance, can ever be truly quantified. The debate ensures that the Enigma's story remains dynamic and relevant. The personal effects, those poignant glimpses into the lives of the crew, serve a different, equally vital purpose. They humanize the conflict, reminding us that behind the grand narratives of battles and strategies were individual human beings, with families, hopes, and fears. The diary, the locket, the uniform patches, they whisper stories of the mundane and the tragic, connecting us to the universal human experience even amidst the specific horror of war. It's a quirky tidbit that sometimes, after such a long time underwater, the salt crystals can actually form intricate patterns on artifacts, creating a kind of natural, ephemeral art that reflects the passage of time. These details make the objects even more unique. The recovery and conservation of these artifacts also highlight the incredible advancements in maritime archaeology and preservation science. What was once impossible, or would have resulted in the destruction of the finds, is now achievable through cutting-edge technology and dedicated expertise. It speaks to a growing global commitment to understanding and preserving our shared human history. Even its darkest chapters, this shipwreck isn't just a site of loss, it's a site of learning. A vast underwater library waiting to be read. The ship, in its watery grave, continues to hold secrets. Perhaps more personal effects lie undiscovered in sealed compartments, or new insights into its final moments could still be gleaned from further, less intrusive research. The wreck serves as a constant reminder that history is not static. It is always being re-examined, reinterpreted, and understood anew as new evidence comes to light. It is a powerful testament to the resilience of both human endeavor and the ocean itself, which has both claimed and preserved this silent witness to a bygone era. The legacy of this sunken Nazi warship is not just about its demise, but about its ongoing story, a narrative that reminds us of the past's enduring presence and its profound lessons for the future. The gentle hum of the fan in your room continues, a soft lullaby in the quiet darkness. The images of the deep, of the silent ship and its hidden treasures, begin to recede, fading into the comfortable shadows of your room. The pressure of the ocean, the chill of the depths, they melt away, replaced by the warmth of your blanket, the familiar softness of your pillow. Let the stories of history, of bravery and loss, of discovery and mystery, gently settle in your mind, like the sediment settling on the seabed. There's no more danger here, no more crushing darkness, just the quiet peace of the night. Feel your muscles relax, your breathing deepen, slowing with each passing moment. The distant echoes of historical events, the whispers of lives lived long ago, now simply a comforting murmur in the vast ocean of your dreams. Close your eyes, let the last lingering images drift away, and welcome the calm, restful embrace of sleep.